Hey there. Good morning to you, Brickheads. I hope you are having a great Wednesday. It's hump day, halfway through the week. We are getting there, and it's Wednesday. So that means it's a wild card Wednesday. So what do you say? Should we get right into it? I do want to say thank you, though. If you are listening in on your favorite podcast platform, I just really appreciate you listening to the episode. Or if you're checking me out on YouTube, if you're maybe more of a visual person, thank you so much for tuning in. I just really appreciate it. Definitely means the world to me. But today is an exciting day. I love a good Wildcard Wednesday because it gives me an opportunity to talk about just some topic, something that is near and dear to my heart, and I just feel like I want to share it, right? And today's topic is, I think, more popular than ever, right? I started thinking about this 15 years ago. Like my journey in Lego investing, because that's what we're talking about today, started back in 2010. So what I'm going to give you today is what I have learned in 15 years. And my hope of this episode is that it can help you either make some wise decisions if you are going to get into this world, because it's definitely, there's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down here, or it can help you make an educated decision to say, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I don't know enough, or maybe I need to find out more. Because like I say, in 15 years, I've definitely made some great decisions, but I've also definitely made some bad decisions. So I'm going to share those with you today. And in fact, I'm going to break things down into 4 parts. So part 1, I'm going to give you some just general tips and tricks. If you have never invested in Lego before, just 6 important things that you need to do before assessing if you are going to spend your money on Lego. That's part 1. Part 2, I'm going to talk to you about the online resources that you can use to help you in making these decisions. And then step 3, part 3, is how and when to sell. And what does selling look like? Because it's never as easy as it looks, right? And then finally, part 4, I am going to tell you 3 big sets that I'm interested in and 3 small sets that I'm interested in if I were going to invest in Lego. So yeah, full disclosure, I have invested a lot of money in Lego, both in my personal collection and in sets to sell. Some have been great, like I said, some have been awful. But here's what I want you to remember. If you are going to go and buy Lego specifically to hold on to and then to resell, the most important thing, I need you to remember this, to start off with a big, don't buy Lego at full price. And I know that makes so much sense. Like you're like, yeah, Steve, duh, and the sky is blue. But you would be surprised. Like you're in the Lego store, right? You're looking around, or you're at Target or Walmart or just some retailer, and you see this set and it just looks really cool. And you're like, I bet that I hear one day, rumor is that set's going to retire. I better just buy it now before I do anything else. And you buy it and it's not on discount. You're not going to make as much money back. And again, I know that it seems like total common sense, but you would be surprised the number of times where that impulse to want to buy something versus, oh man, maybe I should wait for a discount on it, right? And if that discount never comes, then I'm going to miss out on buying this set. And so I better buy it now. With that philosophy, you're going to lose money in investing in Lego. Here's the deal. I tend to use the 20% rule, right? I tend to look for Lego that has been marked down. It has been discounted at least 20% from retail price. And like I say, I'll talk later about places that can help you analyze retail versus the discounted price. But when you start talking Lego sets 25%, and you will get Lego sets that are 30% discounts, then we start talking about, oh, maybe this is the potential to invest in this Lego. So, but rule number 1, if you want to buy it for yourself, I mean, sometimes we pay full price because if you're at the Lego store, maybe there's a gift with purchase that you want that justifies it buying at full price, or it's double points and you're getting a discount in that way because you're a VIP member. Maybe. But guys, be patient. Look for those discounts and then analyze those discounts to see if it's worth it to you, because that is just more money in your pocket. So that's number one. Number two, and this is another impulse thing that I think people do a lot, is don't buy the Lego set when it's first released. Okay, there's a little asterisk there. But 95% of the time, you don't want to buy the Lego on day one. Okay? Yeah, Lego is releasing new sets all the time. Really, really amazing sets. Like, so far in 2025, we've gotten rumors about some incredible sets. So let's take, for example, we've got a Death Star that's supposed to be coming out in October, and it's $1,000 set. You buy that Death Star day one at $1,000, you are not making your money back. It's just a given, because Lego is going to take a time to retire. I tend to use the 2-year rule, meaning Lego tends to be on shelf for at least 2 years before it gets retired. And then not only is there that 2-year rule, then you usually have another at least 6 months to another year before it appreciates enough where you can even think about, do I want to sell this set? Now, there's an asterisk here because there are some sets that generate a lot of hype. So, for example, the UCS Millennium Falcon. When that set came out way back in I don't remember the date now. It was like 2017, something like that. When that set was released, there was hype, right? Like, everybody wanted this set. 7,500 pieces. It's a $750 set. Like, you got to get your hands on it. We knew at that time that it was going to sell out just instantly. And so that is a case where I scooped up that set on day one. Not only for the set itself, but it also came with a gift with purchase, which was the black VIP card, minifig, and plaque display. So I was like, all right, these two things ought to be worth it. And what happened is it did come to fruition that it was sold out immediately, which means you could only get it on the aftermarket. And I'll tell you, full disclosure, I ended up selling that set to somebody, I think in Vermont, for $1,350 a week later. That is a rare case. It just doesn't happen very often. In 15 years, that has been one of my quickest turnarounds because everybody wanted the set, right? Like the Home Alone set a few Christmases back, the Home Alone Ideas house. You could not get your hands on it because it sold out immediately. Or the Endurance that just came out on Black Friday. If you didn't get it immediately, it was sold out. And then the people who turned it around quick, they were making a quick buck. But again, that doesn't happen a lot. And usually you also supplement with that gift with purchase too. So you're not only just selling one, but you're selling two sets. But honestly, guys, for the most part, never buy a set on day one, because if you buy it on day one, that means you're going to be storing it at your house or somewhere for the next 2 to 3 to 4 plus years. Okay. So, and then number 3 is divest. If you play in the market, or any financial advisor will tell you this, is never put your eggs in one basket. Okay? I mean, it's the age-old saying, you don't invest all of your stuff in one thing. And the same goes for Lego. You don't want to buy 10 of one set and that's all of your money, because here's the deal. It may hit or it may not. And if it doesn't, you have lost a lot of money, with the potential to lose a whole lot of money depending on what you've invested. So, you want to diversify your portfolio. Just like you would with a retirement, you'd want to with Lego. If you're actually making this something where you're investing, you want a compilation, a bunch of maybe large sets, small sets, maybe some medium sets, and things that are retiring at different time periods. And you're investing in a lot of those things. Yeah, you may have 2, 3, 4, or 5 of one set. It kind of depends on your scaling model, but you just never want to invest all of your money in one Lego set and buy 50 of them. I mean, that's kind of like just playing the lottery. Your odds aren't very good, okay? So make sure you divest. The next thing, here's the deal. People don't account for this a lot, but I think it's a big thing that's always overlooked, is you have to account for storage. Lego sets are big. You know, the set next to me, if you're tuning in on Lego, is set 76440. It's the Tri-Wizard Arrival set. Yeah, it's just over $1,000. It's a cool looking set, but it's pretty big. It just doesn't sit easily on a shelf, right? I have to account for storing this set until I would want to either build it or sell it. Okay. And again, if we're talking about for years, that kind of thing can stack up. Even if you get into a point where you are consistently buying and selling, you're going to have an inventory of sets. It's like Tabasco sauce, right? You know, you got to age it for a while, so there's got to be a place for all those barrels until you can get rid of it. It's the same thing with Lego. You have to evaluate your storage needs. It's very common on a lot of the forums that I see where someone has an entire room and it's just bookshelves full of Lego, right? Big, huge shelving units that it's just Lego getting ready to push. That's a lot of space. And a lot of space equals money that you're paying, either in a home loan or maybe you're using a storage unit. You're paying that money. And every time you pay someone that money, that's money that you're losing in your investment. So keep an account for that. And then this fifth thing, again, it's common sense, but it's the same with everything in life. Don't overinvest. You need to assess, like, what do you have? And you need to, you can take some risks out there, but please don't overdo it. You don't overinvest in something. Don't take money you don't have and put it into Lego sets thinking you're going to get rich. This is not a get rich scheme. It's kind of the same. If you're investing in the stock market, any financial investor will tell you it's the long game that's going to make you money over the period of years. It's not that quick turnaround thing. It just usually doesn't work. So please keep that in mind. And then last but not least, if you've never invested in Lego before, I do want you to keep this in mind. And it's a lesson I learned the hard way right when I started. And that is things change. There is no more constant with a Lego retirement date than change. Okay, so let me take you back to 2011. I have been looking at Creator Expert sets. I'm looking at the Grand Carousel. I'm looking at the Green Grocer and all of these iconic sets that everybody knows about from back in the day, right? And I'm like, these sets are just incredible. You can't go wrong. Like Creator Expert was like the line. If you got a Creator Expert set, the Eiffel Tower, right? From 2005 to about 2010, they were just, you were making money hands over fist, right? And so I was like, oh, this is genius. And it's not like I was a huge investor. I wanted to invest enough money to pay for the hobby, you know? And there's different levels of Lego investors, right? There's people who want to invest a little bit just to dabble. There's people like me who want to invest enough to help pay to buy more Lego. Like I would love for the hobby to pay for itself. That's the goal, right? And then there's people who are like, big dollars. Like they want to do this as a job and they want to just invest in Lego and make tens of thousands of dollars. Well, here's the deal. I bought the Tower Bridge. It's a beautiful set. It was 4,000 pieces. At the time, it was just $240, which today is standard, like 4,000 pieces for $240. What a steal, right? And I bought 3 of those. Because when I invest to pay for the hobby, I tend to go in rule of 3, meaning I have one for me, and then I sell 2. And the selling 2, the first one pays for the one I kept, and the second one pays for the profit of the set, if that makes sense, right? Because the hope is the set will triple in value. That was my goal. But if you know anything about Lego, you'll know that this Tower Bridge, this Creator Expert set, was one of the first sets of its time to stay on shelves for longer than 2 years. In fact, it stayed on shelves for like 6 years. I still have a Tower Bridge in storage ready for sale. Now it is actually ready for sale now, but I'm just letting you know, I've had a set in a box for 14 years, y'all. That's absurd. And it never tripled in value. I mean, I'd be lucky at this point. I think it's like maybe double in value. I haven't looked lately and I've kind of been lazy with it. It's kind of something you forget about after 14 years. But it was a really good lesson to learn right away that not every set's going to be a winner. And don't guarantee that this set is going to retire when it says it's retiring. So when I talk to you about these sets later on in this episode, yeah, they're all slated to retire December 31st, 2025, but that can change at any time. It's only Lego who knows when the set is going to retire. And never forget that, and never assume some site is correct. The only one that's correct is Lego, and they don't tell you until they say this set is retiring. That's it. So that's part one. Those are things to look for, okay? Part two, online resources. Let's talk about this because you don't have to go alone, right? Zelda, you don't have to go it alone. Take this. There are 4 sites that I use most of the time. The first site, and the site I used all the time at the start, was BrickPicker.com. BrickPicker, God bless BrickPicker. It's kind of a shell of itself now. Like if you were on BrickPicker way back in like 2010 to 2015, this site was perfect. This site was literally, it is a site geared just towards specific Lego investing. It's more turned into just a forum now. It's still a good site, lots of resources, and I really enjoy it. But it's not what it used to be. You used to be able to see valuations over like a 6-month period, taking eBay stats and whatnot. And Ed and his brother, the people who designed the site, like basically there was one day that it just kind of stopped. And they're like, no, we're going to come back with something great. And they never have. But the forum still exists, and it's a pretty good site for getting, think of it like the Reddit for Lego investing, but that's BrickPicker. The other set I use a lot, and I talk a lot about on this page, is Brickset. Brickset and Bricklink are both great sites. I prefer Brickset. I think the valuations of it are pretty good. We're taking eBay sold listings, but you can also see that on bricklink.com as well. And a lot of times, Bricklink is the more realistic price, okay? So definitely if I'm going to sell a set, I'm not just checking eBay, I'm checking Bricklink as well to see what is other people selling this set for, because it's one thing to say a Lego set is valued at this, that's a whole nother thing to say someone's actually going to pay this amount of money. And then last but not least, I do love Brick Fanatics. It is a at this time, probably the most comprehensive site for Lego retirements. Okay, so if you want the biggest, most comprehensive list about what sets are retiring in the next 3 years and when they are retiring, as far as our speculation goes, Brick Fanatics is usually the best. And so some of these things I'm going to talk about is based on the Brick Fanatics list. But again, always that asterisk there, things can change. Okay, so use your online retail, online sources. Like I say, and there's a lot of smart people out there, people that are way better at investing than I have ever been, and they'll be happy to give you their opinion, right or wrong. Okay, so you listen to these people, but just do your homework. But there are a lot of sites out there. In fact, Brick Economy is a good one. And there's more sites than ever before that can help you. And I know sometimes that can actually be more confusing than anything. But yeah, there's some biggies out there. You don't have to use every single site, but there's some biggies that I think you will tend to get a part of. Brickset is really great. And like I said, I still like the forums on BrickPicker. I just wish that site was better. I wish it was like it used to be. So anyway, and so let's say you've invested. You've bought some Lego, you bought the Harry Potter Triwizard set, right? And you're holding on to this. And you're like, well, how do I sell it? What do I do? Like I said, look for that retirement date. Once that set has officially retired, then the timer starts. And some sets, they appreciate actually fairly quickly. Some sets within that first 6 months, you'll see a steep incline in price. And it's usually within that first 6 months that you see the biggest incline in price, and then after that, it usually makes a steady incline. Lego's pretty safe with that. In fact, I was looking at statistics of like the previous 10 years of how Lego had a return that was like better than the stock market and better than gold. I don't know if that still holds true here in 2025, but if you're doing it right, it can make you some money. But when you are selling, like I said, I had mentioned this before, value and what people are willing to buy are two different things. So if I'm ever going to go sell a set, the first thing I do is I go to eBay sold listings, okay? That is a real nice marker for what a set is actually going for, because people can list sets. I could list this set on eBay right now for $10,000. Who cares? What is someone willing to pay for this set? So that's why you go into eBay, scroll down on the left-hand side, you'll see a thing that says sold listings. Click on that. Sometimes you won't be able to see the actual price unless you pay for some of those sites that have premium features. But if you're trying to do this free, like I usually do, it can at least give you an idea of what this sold for in auction, or it will say like the price is crossed out and best price taken, which is always going to at least be below that price that's listed. So check for that. Amazon, whatnot, other two good ways, but let's be real. eBay is still king when it comes to selling a set. It gives you the biggest audience. You can list that set on Craigslist, but you can, this set is for pickup only. Sure, you're going to save on shipping costs, but it's a little bit shadier and you have a much smaller audience. eBay is a much bigger audience. It's a much safer audience, but it's going to take a cut. And this is the other part I want to talk to you about. You always have to factor in your fees and your shipping. And shipping is not cheap. And to ship a giant box costs a lot of money. Okay, so please keep that in mind. If you buy a set for $100 and now that set is worth $200, you're like, sweet. You don't make $100, guys. That's just not how it works. You're going to get like 10% off of eBay right there. So there's $20. And let's say it's a fairly large set like this. It might be another $20 to $30 in shipping and fees. So there's $50 right off the top. So your $100 set that you bought and your $100 return has now been cut in half and you're getting $50 back. So keep that in mind as well, because if you were trying to sell it for $150, now you've done all this work and you're not making a single penny. So you do have to watch to see, are we beyond the point where it's not only going to pay for itself, but is it also going to pay for the fees? And fees are kind of another complicated thing, because eBay's fees are also contingent on how much you sell. So it's a scaling thing. If you're scaling up and you're making this a serious business, your fees can be lowered, or you may have deals that you're running. But if you're investing on a small level, you can expect subtract 10% for that. So keep that in mind as well. All right, I've talked about a bunch, and again, I've barely scratched the surface, y'all, but let's say this is something you want to do and you're just like, Steve, rubber meets the road. What are sets that you're actually looking at? Because if you were to go to brickfanatics.com and look at their retirement list, there's probably like 150 sets, maybe 200 sets on there that are retiring between now and 2027. Well, what do I buy? What would I buy? Well, here's what I'll tell you. Here are my top three. The first set I'm looking at, and these are the three big sets. Okay, so if I were to buy 3 sets today, I wouldn't buy them today. I would probably hold on a little longer, and I would definitely look for discounted prices if they come up. But if I saw these sets on a really good discount, I would definitely consider picking them up. First is set 21343, the Viking Village. This set came out in October of 2023, and it was $130. Not a huge investment. And I gotta say this. Every set I'm going to talk about today is slated at this time to be retired at the end of 2025. Okay, so we're not talking sets that are on shelves for 4 years. We're talking at the end of this year, this set is going to go away. Okay, if you believe the list per Brick Fanatics. All right, so give me that little asterisk there. So Viking Village, if it goes away in 2025, it'll have been on shelves for just 2025, 2024, and a couple months of 2023. So just over a 2-year shelf life. People love the Vikings. They love these villages. They love castle themes. And I just think this is one of those sets, kind of like the medieval market. It works really well in a city. It's not too specific, but it's very generalized that I think people would really go for. So I see a lot of potential in that set definitely going up upon retirement for sure. And just at over 2 years, that's not a huge shelf life. That's about average. Moving on. If I were going to buy a really big set, now again, I'd have to find this on a good discount. We're talking 20 to 25% off, but it's set 21344. Same thing in Lego Ideas. We're talking the Orient Express train. This set came out in December of 2023 and it retails for $300. Okay, so if we're talking 20% off, what is that, like $60? So $240? You're talking. But again, there's tax and stuff. I hadn't even talked about taxes. Oh my gosh. You're not just buying a $200 set. Then there's $40 in taxes just to get the set. So you have to keep that in mind too. I didn't even get into the world of taxes and all of that kind of thing. So something to keep in mind. But what I will say about this set is people love trains. Unless it's the Ultimate Collector's Edition Hogwarts Express, it's a winner if it's a train. People love it, and I rarely see a train not appreciate really well in price. It would not surprise me if this set retires in 2025, by 2026, 2027, that this set is selling for $500+. Okay? But again, it's a really hard one because it's a big set. It's a $300 investment. You got to ask yourself, do you have $300 that you can put on the shelf for the next couple of years? Okay. And it's a big box. So that's something to keep in mind too. So, but yeah, people love their trains and this set is phenomenal. So I definitely think that one will grow. And then another set that I think is really enticing is set 10332, the Medieval Town Square. This set came out March of 2024, and it's slated to be retired December of 2025. So that's less than 2 years on the shelf. And anytime we're talking under 2 years, I'm just going to tell you that always gets me excited. Okay. And so that set came out in March for $230. It's definitely a chunk of change. But again, there's trains and there's castle theme. Okay. When it comes to returns or when it comes to people really wanting a set on the aftermarket, castle is a really safe bet. I almost had the Lion Knight castle on here, but that's a $400 set and it's gigantic. And I don't know how many people would want to invest a lot of money in multiple Lion Knights castles because you're going to sit on it for a while. But I would not be surprised that if this set retires at the end of this year, that it would double in price, if not more. Okay? The days of tripling in price for large sets, they're few and far between. So that golden age, I just don't see it much anymore. But yeah, that is another good set that I would be highly interested in. I will tell you a couple honorable mentions, and this is why I have this set here. 76440, the Tri-Wizard Tournament, The Arrival. I loved this set, not because it's Harry Potter, because Harry Potter is very hit and miss, but because it's a boat. People do love a good boat. The set is very impressive. It came out in June of 2024, so if rumors are to be believed, it would only be an 18-month shelf life, and it's only a $140 investment. So if you were able to find this set on a decent discount, like if you were to get it more towards $100 to $110, I think this set could be definitely a win. And the other honorable mention I would say goes to Snow White's Cottage. $220 set, lovely set, beautiful set. And it's going to have, like I said, if it retires, will be less than a 2-year shelf life. At $220, like I say, it's a decent sized box, but people also love Disney. And once that goes away, I can definitely see those prices going up. Disney hasn't been out as long though as Castle, so it's a little less. We don't have as many sets to compare it to, so it's a little harder to always compare a one-off before, unless like a set that's not a one-off but in a series. So those are the big sets. Last but not least, 3 small sets, because you might be like, I'm not going to buy 3 Orient Expresses and pay over $1,000 when you include the tax. That's crazy. I don't have $1,000 to do that. Well, maybe you're small scale. Here are some small sets that you might be interested, or smaller sets. Just remember, obviously, a smaller set usually equals a smaller return. So if you end up getting a $10 set and you double your price, yeah, cool. It's $20 now. You've doubled your price. Your percentage is great, but you're still just making $10. So you're going to have to turn over a lot more of these to make some actual profit. But the first set, and this one may be a little controversial, is set 10391. This is the Over the Moon set with Pharrell. This is that rocket, the very colorful rocket with the jet trail, the contrail there that's all colorful, and it had all of the different Lego heads. This set came out in September of 2024 for $110. If it retires, like I say, at the end of December, it's like a, what's that, a 14, 15-month shelf life? Very short. And those quirky one-offs, sometimes they're golden. Sometimes a set comes out and you're like, that set's terrible. But I will tell you, like, the Fab Five, the Queer Eye set, people really liked it because it went on steep discounts, and it was a set that people could part out for a lot of sets. So a lot of good piece usage in there. So they weren't even keeping it for that set. They were keeping it to dismantle it and resell. And so, they were getting it for 30, 40. We've seen sets at 50% off. Then it became worth it. It totally became worth it. So I wouldn't overlook this set, love it or hate it. The next small set is set 75682. This is Elphaba and the Glinda figures. This set just came out in October of 2024 and was $50, right in line with Wicked. If this set retires in December, I think it's a win because you got part 2 of Wicked coming out and people are going crazy for this movie. It's a great movie. Absolutely love it, right? And so that's one of those things, like if there's a lot of hype around a movie and the set retires, and this is like the actual figures for this set, to me, that's almost a no-brainer. So if you can find this on a discount, 20% off, you're paying $40 for it, then you account for taxes, I could see this set getting upwards to $100. No problem. Maybe even more. So after fees and whatnot, you could clear $20, $30 worth in profit pretty quickly into the first part of 2026. So that's another one. And then the final set, I love me some Brickheads, guys. Brickheads, it's great because they're small, they're easy to store. I can store like 20 Brickheads in the same space that I can store one Lion Knight Castle. And one Brickhead set that I just love is set 4749. That's the Joy, Sadness, and Anxiety Brickheads. That's the one from Inside Out 2. $20 set. Came out in June of 2024, which means it will have an 18th month shelf life. Very short, and Brickheads, and one of the reasons I like Brickheads is they tend to have shorter shelf life. It's not uncommon to have a Brickhead be on stores for like 9 months. You see this with like the old Mickey and Minnie Mouse Brickheads that came out 3 or 4 years ago. They had a very less than a 1 year shelf life, $10 Brickheads that now sell for $80 to $90. And so now you're talking 800, 900% profit. That's pretty darn good for a small investment. Like I say, you might have to buy 10 of them, but 10 of these sets, you're in for $100. That's not huge. And if you can get a good turnaround on that, 10 of those sets selling for $1,000, now you're talking some real money. Brickheads can be hit or miss, so you just kind of got to watch for them. And speaking of hit or miss, I do have my one honorable mention, and that's just Brickheads in general. But 2 that I've really looked at are 2 sets that are actually just come out. That's Dumbo and Mai, the Red Panda. Those are slated as of now, to be retired at the end of 2025. If that's the case, those are two really cool Disney sets that are going to have less than a 1-year shelf life. $10 investment, you're probably going to get 300, 400, 500% return. And those are the only sets, it seems to be to me, nowadays where you're going to get that kind of return. Actual money is definitely going to be lower, but you just got to keep that in mind. You invest big, the money is going to be big, but the losses can also be big, and the more money you have tied up in it as well, right? Versus small, you can buy a whole bunch of these. You can buy, oh my gosh, you can buy so many Brickheads and fill up a space on a shelf so much easier than you could with just a couple of these Harry Potter sets. So I do not sleep on Brickheads at all. But there you go. Those are the big sets. Those are the small sets. Those are what I'm thinking. And again, take it with a grain of salt. I could be 100% wrong. Please let me know in the comments. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I picked some good ones, or do you think I'm just completely off base? Also, is there something I missed? If there is, and you got a good nugget of information, please, I would love for you to share that in the comments, because anybody who watches this on YouTube can look at those comments, and it's just more information that they can learn. Like I say, the important part of this is we want you to make good decisions. The last thing I ever want to see is someone make a big mistake and lose money. I want you to do well. I want you to enjoy a hobby, and I want you to make money. It's a win-win. I want you to have the best opportunity. And so I hope some of this information was helpful for you. So I apologize. Kind of a long one today. I think this is the longest podcast I've ever done, but there's a lot to it, and I probably will come up with a part 2 later on this year because there's so much more to talk about. But I hope this at least gives you an idea. Yeah, I hope it at least gives you something where you can look into it a little bit more, or something where it makes you going to just run for the hills, right? But with that, like I say, I super appreciate you. I'm going to come back to you on Monday with some latest news and rumors. Hint, hint, Van Gogh may be in some upcoming news and rumors, because there's some really cool stuff coming for Lego art. So make sure you tune into that. But until Monday rolls around, I appreciate you. I appreciate you investing in Lego if that's your thing, and listening in. And until Monday, I'll have to catch you on the next one. Talk to you later.
How it's supposed to feel.